All right, you guys, Think Bigger podcast, community conversations. I have the homie Cristian CANIBEAT right in the building right now. We're out here on the East Coast. We're in Jersey. It's right after First Class Fitment, man.
Yeah, dude.
How do you feel about it, dude? 10th anniversary. How was it for you?
Oh man, it was great, dude. Oh man, we couldn't have asked for a better day. The weather was perfect. Everybody came out. People who had been coming out for a while, people who had never been, but it was their first time. People maybe who have gone to the first couple ones and then just hadn't been around for a while because of life. And so it just a lot of people, a lot of beautiful cars. Couldn't have asked for a better closer.
Okay, so let's get to the question that I think a lot of people have asked, but then there's obviously going to be the people who just don't know, right? And they're going to online, they're going to speculate and all that. Why is it the last one?
You know, man, I think the reason, well, there's a lot of reasons, but the main reason is just that it just felt kind of right. We had this special thing going, and we just kind of had to make a decision, do we keep going with it or do we just end it out on top? It's been 10 years. In all honesty, the show exceeded our expectations from the first show.
Yeah.
We honestly just wanted to do a show where we're just hanging out with friends, having a good time and just, bringing out quality cars. And we didn't even know what to expect the first show. We were like, man, are people even gonna come? Is it just gonna be us and our friends? And people came out, man. Our friends came out. We saw a lot of cool cars that we had never seen before, and we were like, whoa, this is cool. And we just kind of kept doing it with just the intentions of having a good time. And we look back and we're just like, damn, we didn't even know what to expect. And we were just thinking do we want to keep going with this or do we want to end out on top? And it just felt kind of right, man. It's sad. Do I want to keep doing it? Yeah, sure. But it just didn't really make sense, man.
Okay.
It was just something where we were just we made our mark. 10 is such a good number to end it on, and let's just ride it out on top, man.
Yeah.
That's just the pretty great answer, I would say, or the good reason rather. Yeah.
So it's just a combination of the responsibilities involved, how it's kind of created that name for itself, right?
Yeah.
And the number 10 is there was a number to stop on. That's a great one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, okay, so I dig it, right? So, I mean, I think a lot of people, even to this day, don't really understand the immensity of the logistics, right? There's an investment of your time, your money.
Yep.
And obviously, when it's established, you're going to have, a pretty solid feel for that you're going to be able to get your investment back. But it takes a lot of work.
Oh, dude, yeah, absolutely, man. I always tell people, man, it's one of those. I mean, the best analogy that I could think of is when you're hosting a party and you put in so much work. You open up your home to people to come, and some people may disrespect it, some people may not, whatever, you don't know. You're inviting strangers into a place, and everyone's all awesome party, man, you guys throw the best party, but you don't really get to enjoy it. You're working and stuff. And we kind of just after these 10 years we're let's just end this out, just go back to just being us and focusing on the stuff that matters, and just we'll see what happens. You can never say never, or you can never say that something is truly over until you really just kind of think about it and let it kind of simmer and see where it goes. But I think for now we just kind of want to just get our heads in the right place and just see what we want to do. But we definitely do know that that was the last of that show.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, so let's go in a reverse here, right?
Yeah.
2019, First Class Fitment, 10th anniversary, the final show. Okay, so we go back 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Right, when you and Dave are sitting there having a conversation, right?
Yeah.
So was it you, your brother and Dave, Roy? Was it a group of you? Where did the spark to start it? Because I know Dave's the one who found the airport,
uh-huh.
but all of that was after you guys had talked.
Yeah. So what happened was when we, before we had even done shows, we obviously, you know, we're an established brand, and we were going to other people's shows.
Yeah.
And we were like, we're just like creative thinkers, man. We like to do things outside the box. We know what we like. We know like we just know, like we're all artists. We just have a vision, and we were going to all these people's shows, and like no shade to any people's shows that we would go to, but we would just see all these like random, because we would go to like Euro shows, Porsche shows, like Volkswagen shows, Porsche shows, like just all European car shows in general, like classic car shows, like JDM shows. We were just going to all these shows, and we noticed that like there was no shows just bringing them all together. And we felt that we had that pull with like the blog and posting random stuff. And like after a while of going to people's shows, we're like, why don't we just do this? Why don't we like do something that nobody's doing and bring all these cars together? Because we had the pool, we just didn't have the venue. We just didn't have the experience of doing a show. But like, dude, when you get 3 people together that are like super talented, know what we want, and we just like kill it in whatever we do, like we just each divvied up what we had to do, and we made it happen.
Yeah.
Dave was like, yo, like I got the perfect venue idea. Dude, Roy is the mastermind with like doing apparel, and he just has this like artistic vision.
Yeah.
And I come from a graphic design and background, and I'm a creative director for a firm, and like we just all did what we had to do to make it happen. And like our friends and family always backed us up, and we always had the ability, like, well, I don't even know what the word I'm trying to say here is, but we just had that like that backing, man.
Yeah.
Our friends and family have been with us since day one, and like never complained about helping out. Always were just willing to do whatever it took to make this like vision come to life. And just over the years, we just, because of like, you know, being in the scene and stuff, we've always had the luxury of just having all these companies back us up and vend, help us with the trophies, help us with the marketing, help us with everything. And it just sort of just like organically just happened, man.
Yeah.
And like people are like, well, how did you get it to like where it is today? And all we could really say is we just worked real hard, and our friends and family did too,
supported
and it
you.
just sort of happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah.
It isn't strategic per se. It isn't controlled. It's you have a work plan, you have an ethic, you have an idea, and then it just evolved, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So that all comes from a place of having that artistry, right? Mm-hmm. Having the design background, or at least the design inclination, right? There's a lot of self-taught graphic artists.
Right.
I think the majority of them nowadays are people who just teach themselves Illustrator, right? And they're just figuring it out. You know, these photographers, they're teaching themselves how to edit and grade and give themselves a tone, right? Videographers the same way, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the artistry background, but I mean, let's talk about even before, right?
Yeah.
So what were the different styles or companies or different like existing realms of artistry that inspired you on an individual basis in the way that you, not just First Class, but with you as a person, your car builds, all of that? Where do you get your inspirations from?
Oh man, tons of places. I'm just so into anything art that like so much inspiration's all around me, man. I'm into like, I collect paintings, I do graphic design and marketing for a living. Like I'm into cars, obviously, so I go to a lot of car shows. I travel everywhere and just sort of like make it a mission to just check out art galleries. Like it's all over, man. Music, I fucking love music, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I'm always like have my headphones on, like while I'm like going to work, like at work, like listening to podcasts, like I just art, dude. Even like I'll even watch like cooking shows on the freaking TV, just I mean, I don't cook myself, but just anything that's art, man, is just so inspiring.
All right, that right there, I think, as simple as that kind of sounded, I think that I feel like it's very important to touch on that because, I actually have an episode coming out later about traveling, right? But you just touched on that.
Yeah.
And traveling is this such an underrated, in a world where you're following people on Instagram and Facebook and you're seeing posts of them all over the place. So traveling has almost become like dumbed down and it's so like generic.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We see the women that are posting on a yacht in the Bahamas, they're in Bali, they're in everyone just travels. Like nobody's taking a picture of themselves in their own kitchen eating a banana, right? It's like you have to be eating a tropical banana in the middle of the forest in Thailand with a monkey, right? Like everything's over the top and simultaneously generic all at the same time, right? It's this crazy like realm of life that we live in. But I always talk about traveling. You touched on it without even realizing it. Cooking. Art, literal art. So whether it be the art of music, the art of paintings, the art of streetwear, right? The art of any of that. That's all of that in and of itself is traveling. If you listen to one artist or one type of music without even meaning to, you are in a tunnel. If you like art and you only want to look at paintings, right? Just paintings. If that's all your mind thinks of when you think of art, without meaning to, you're in a tunnel. If you like clothes and fashion and you only follow one brand or one designer without meaning to, you're in a tunnel. Traveling, it doesn't have to mean geographically. The first thing people think of is going on a plane somewhere.
Far away. And that's not necessarily true.
That's not necessarily true because, I'm all the way from the West Coast. I come from California, and people out here are like, yo, Big Mike, what's up with Hollywood and, I don't know, the sign, Hollywood sign, or when was the last time you did a hike, because they see like women at like Runyon Canyon or whatever, and then like when was the last time you were in Santa Monica at the pier or Venice or Malibu, and I'm like, yo, I don't go to any of those places, right? And I have been, but it isn't part of my routine, right? And then you go to New York, shout out to all the New Yorkers, and you go ask them, like, when was the last time you were in the Empire State Building? And they're like, shut up, right? So it's just funny because people think it has to be those kind of stereotypical things, but traveling's in your head, man. Put on a whole genre of music you've never listened to, right?
Just expand, man.
Just expand, right? So there you go. You are already kind of onto that. Music, art, when you go someplace, you'll go check out an art gallery, right? You listen to various types of music, different cars, like First Class shows Euro and rat rods and hot rods and classics and muscle, right?
And like switching up the theme, the look of the feel of the show.
Yeah, you did it every year, right?
Twerking around the layout, like trying out new like marketing techniques. Like we just use that as like a platform to sort of just like educate ourselves and sort of just become better at what we do. It was just all about growing, man. We just always try new things, like, okay, maybe this didn't work this year, or this worked fantastic,
sure,
let's try this. And we did it with the merch, the look and the feel, the trophies, the layouts, the type of cars, how we market the event. Like literally everything was tried and like retried again or switched up or whatever. Like we just were constantly switching it up, constantly doing new things, and I think like it worked, man.
It did, man. I'm the type of car enthusiast who has never allowed the limitations of what's around me to kind of be those walls. It was a long time ago where I started realizing that the people that I'm around physically or geographically, that's not the end all be all. It doesn't matter if those people are established, wealthy, car show winners, whatever they were, no matter what they were, that's not the world. It's beyond that, right? And over the course of a pretty solid amount of years now, I travel a lot, and I've gotten to not just read about it or watch it in the context of an Instagram story or YouTube, I get to be there with people and see their culture.
Yeah, and that goes like such a long way.
Yeah,
that goes
yeah.
such a long way.
So I've always seen and heard of First Class Fitment, right? For 10 years. And then you and your brother, CANIBEAT, right? Mm-hmm. So let's go there, right?
Yeah.
What year did you establish CANIBEAT?
We started CANIBEAT in 2009.
Yes.
Roy and I had met locally because we had like the same car, the EP3.
Yeah.
I had messaged him about like a part that he was selling, or I think it might have been that I was selling. I don't really quite remember, but anyways, doesn't really matter. But we became friends.
Yeah.
We were
just from that car part interaction.
Just from that interaction.
Dope.
Yeah. We started going to local events together, and we were, at the time, were going to my brother. So I wasn't originally like from the get-go like into cars, and my brother got me into it. He was a Honda head. I hung out with Honda people, like, and it just sort of like I don't know. It just sort of happened, you know? I was just his brother who was like tagging along to all these shows, and I was like, yo, like, this is cool. Like, I wouldn't mind doing this.
Yeah.
And when I bought my EP3, like, I sort of just, like, leaned on a lot of people to sort of just kind of give me guidance and stuff. And Roy was one of those people. He had his car already, like, sort of established. And, like, I just was, like, leaning on him with, like, questions and stuff. And he was really cool. We started hanging out a lot. And my brother and his friends were going to this show that we had gone to, maybe, like, I don't even know how many times we went. Maybe like 10, 11, something. Bunch of years in a row. We would go to Nashville for Import Alliance, and we were like, Roy, like, come with us, man. And he was like, I don't know. He was just sort of like doing his own thing locally and not really going to any like shows or big meets per se. And we were like, just come, man.
Yeah, Roy's like a super low key.
Yeah. Ride with us, man. Promise you'll have a good time. We went, we met a lot of people there, including Dave, and we just all just clicked, man. And
so sort of, you met Dave there in Nashville.
We met Dave in Nashville in 2009, right before CANIBEAT started. We weren't even really repping it. We didn't have a booth. We didn't even have stickers. We just had a blog at the time, and we were like bringing on photographers to sort of like shoot for us, and because we had a blog at the time, and I'll get to that a little bit more later. But we met Dave, and we were like I was talking to Roy, and I was like, dude, like, it would be perfect to have him hop on board, man. He's a photographer. We all get along. We're all like-minded. Like, let's just do it. So we got him on board and a bunch of other photographers, and we had this like full-on like blog page going where we were just pumping out content, variety of content, not just JDM cars or Hondas. It was everything, and everything under the sun. We would even toss in like streetwear stuff, or just like art stuff or food stuff. Like, it was just fucking random, dude. And people were like, this is cool. And we sort of ran with it, and then we were just, that was just like young in our car show days, where we were just going to shows all the time, dude. We were going to like all the Week Fest shows, all the Import Alliance shows. Like, we were even going to like the early Tuner Evo Day shows, like when he had it like at the baseball, like the in York, and we were just like going to shows, and like I said, we were just like,
drawing inspiration from this piece works here.
Exactly.
I would have done this differently.
Yeah, and then, dude, like not like this. I don't want this to sound bad at all, but when you're like vending, like it gets hard, man. You're packing up your shit and you're going to all these shows, and we were like, why don't we just, instead of like, because we were doing this for a little while. And I don't mean a little while like years wise. We were just like, it wasn't that long year wise, but it was that long in terms of like show.
Sure.
Just a lot
you were
of shows.
hitting a lot of events.
Exactly. It might have not been like a long time year wise, but it was a lot of shows. And so we were like, we have this pool. Let's just have people come to us instead of us going to all these shows. And so we were like, babe, let's do a show. And it just sort of happened, man. Yeah.
All right. So, you know, you mentioned Roy, you mentioned Dave, and I think a lot of the East Coasters, a lot of the regulars, if you will, the people who've been rocking with Can I Be First and then First Class Fitment as the show side. But there's still a lot of people who don't know who Roy is.
I know.
Right? There's a lot,
Dude, he works behind the scenes, man.
So the foundation of everything is you, Roy, and Dave.
Yes.
Okay. So Dave, you met Import Alliance.
Yep.
2009.
He was literally like, he introduced himself and he's like, I want to shoot like a rig shot of your car.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm down.
Okay.
And we were hanging out at this, like when we back in the early IA days, when it was in Nashville, there was this guy who had a friend who had this like really big mansion, and he would always have this like, he would have a meet there. It was giant mansion, beautiful house. And there was just this like, the entrance of the house had this like sort of like big fountain and this like wraparound like driveway. And Dave
sounds beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. Dave was like, "Yo, I just got this rig shot. Like, let me do a rig shot of your car." And I was like, "Cool." And
this is when you guys don't know each other.
Not at all.
So he came up to you.
We knew of each other because
Sure.
He had taken a photo of my car when we were going to East Coast Honda meet back in it, like that same year, but earlier on in the season. And I was like, yeah, like I recognized his watermark. I recognized like the name, and we just got cool. Didn't know each other at all.
Yeah, it's dope because I know, which we're gonna get to.
Yeah.
We're talking about Dave right now. Then we're gonna talk about Silent Roy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But Dave, you, Rig Shot, the EP.
Yep.
Homies from that day.
Absolutely.
Okay, and Roy, you meet from your brother getting you into Hondas.
Yep.
Right? You get an EP, some dude is selling a part.
Yeah.
You're selling it. You said you don't remember.
I don't remember.
You meet him, you're like-minded, you guys get a good vibe from each other, you start talking. Next thing you know, and it didn't even take that long. You guys all met in about 2009.
Yeah.
So
take long
within that calendar year, all of this came and had the idea of doing your own event come to your mind before Roy and before Dave? Had you already started thinking that?
Not at all, man.
Fascinating.
It took like getting together with them and just sort of like being like-minded and just sort of like just spilling out ideas and stuff. Yeah.
And it just happened.
So yeah, man, sometimes it just takes like a couple minds just to sort of come together and come up with something.
That's super dope, man. Because I remember I was all the way out in California, but I remember seeing Dave's photos, right? And I mean, he was obviously solid. You shot.
Yeah.
And then I remember that to me in my head, I remember this picture of a blue and a white EP.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Bro, honestly, I probably right-clicked and saved it or something whenever I saw it because it was dope, Yeah. And I remember like, yo, that's a nice photo. I like EPs.
Yeah.
And I never knew that was Roy.
Dude, it's funny, man. Like there was this time where when I debuted my car and it sort of got like a really good like reaction. It was different. It was just this like super stands out EP3 and people like either hated it or they loved it.
Sure.
And Roy was doing the same thing, and my car was getting a lot of recognition from like a lot of the magazines through show coverage though.
Yeah.
It would be like, oh, show, oh, there's his car, show, there's his car. So it was getting a lot of attention, and we all were like, Dave, you should like come down and we should like hang out and like you should shoot Roy and Mai's car. Like no real purpose or nothing.
Yeah.
And when he shot that picture, like Honda Tuning like reached out to him and was like, hey, like we want to use this photo for like, was it like snaps that they did back then? Yeah.
Yep.
And they ran it and it just like people saw it, man. And it just sort of like it just
because that many years ago Honda Tuning was the book, that was the magazine.
Yeah, dude. And then when it came time to have my car shot for Honda Tuning, like it just made sense to have Dave do it, man.
Yeah.
And Dave did it. He shot my car for the magazine.
All right, so Dave's a Honda guy.
Yep.
You and your brother and Roy.
Yep.
Okay, so how do you think it turned from being Honda guys, right, quote unquote Honda guys, because obviously people who listen are gonna be like, man, Hondas, right? Because it's First Class Fitment.
Yep.
It's this iconic fitment / stance show. Then you have, of course, the awards for air and static fitment. And, the word itself, stance and fitment, etc. How did 4 Honda guys, right? Yeah. You, your brother, Dave and Roy.
Yeah.
How did 4 Honda guys evolve to create a show that is not based on Hondas at all?
Dude, that's an interesting question. I just think that because we're all into like really random stuff, that we're just so open-minded that we just know like what we like, and it's literally everything under the sun that like we think or like deem to be cool.
Yeah.
We're just so open-minded. Like together, the us three, me, Roy, and Dave, like we're just all into like random stuff, and like that being just random cars.
Yeah.
Like I felt like if we would have, like, dude, the scene back then, like no shade to the scene, but it was so divided.
Sure.
Volkswagen only shows.
I mean,
like,
it still is.
It still is. So we just kind of wanted to break that mold. We wanted to just bring all like types of people together, and it took time, but over time people caught on, and it just became this like super big show that was known for its variety.
Yes.
And yeah, but to answer your question, man, like yes, we're Honda dudes, and those are the cars that we choose to drive, but like at like just behind closed doors, we're into everything.
Sure.
Everything.
I mean, even to this day,
and I'm sure you can relate with your build and being into different stuff.
It's inspiration from everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah. But you get, but it's cool because like I feel like we, and when I say we, I mean us three and you.
Yeah.
Like the us 4, we're all like very similar in the fact that we like are Honda heads, but we're just into everything.
Yeah.
We're into everything.
I think the difference is it's very minimal. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is I've built a Honda, multiple Hondas, but not just
your typical Honda.
Yeah, but you get people who, like I said, a lot of what's going on, and this is kind of what the Think Bigger project as a brand is, and then the Think Bigger podcast. That's why it's not automotive themed. You don't see like 2 pistons and an X, right? Like we talked about, and that's the design per se. It's not about that. It's bigger than that, right? Because I've built X, Y, and Z, I can appreciate this massive spectrum of builds from this world which has nothing to do with Japanese cars to this world. So clothes that I don't even wear. Right. Like I'm fascinated by Supreme and the people who collect it, and the ones who do so just because it's the cool thing to do now, then the ones who do so because they're obsessed. Maybe they're from New York, maybe they're not from New York, but they skate, and Supreme just had a niche, just like Thrasher magazine, right? So you have all these different like iconic names, and I don't wear. I own. Oh, okay, so I own like 2 items, like some shoes,
right?
But I get to sit back and look at the people and the brand, right? And so I can appreciate all kinds of stuff. So speaking of Supreme, right? You're a very notable Supreme enthusiast and collector.
Yeah,
right?
man. It's funny that you mentioned Supreme. Like I attribute like a lot of what we do and a lot of what we did in the beginning to that brand. Like Roy and I are just really big into them. We're big collectors. Roy's got like fucking insane collection.
Does he?
Oh god.
Like it's bigger than yours?
Yeah. Mine's pretty big.
Yours is pretty big, man.
Yeah, but we just took like that whole like collaborating with a bunch of companies, like being random in what you do and sticking true to like a vision.
Yeah.
And limited runs, man. It's all about just like that exclusivity.
So just those simple concepts that you still witness them do. That's where you got the inspiration for a lot of the stuff you execute.
Switching it up, like I said, don't mean to be repetitive, but collaborating with different companies.
Yeah.
Like CCW trophies, Rotiform trophies, like having different vendors and let's do like a collab shirt or whatever. Having a lot of companies involved, that we took that from them, like just that whole just being yourself and just like you're not really giving a fuck what other people think.
Yeah. So why? How did you, as an individual, get into Supreme?
So I have a graphic design background, and I was really big into skating when I was in end of middle school, all of high school, and then like sort of like the beginning-ish stages of college.
Yeah.
And I was not a lot of people don't really know this, but when I was in college, I was really big in the punk and hardcore music.
Okay.
And I did my own record label when I was in college.
Okay.
And so that whole like punk and skate and Supreme that's just sort of like one big world, you know? And so I got into it through that. Like I really big into graphic design and Supreme's graphic design, and their whole just like marketing and all that stuff was just so appealing to me, man. It was just like collaborating with different artists, just doing everything, and that just was like the art. Like obviously I was into like skating and punk music and stuff, loved that stuff, but the art side of it just got me in, man. Like simple logo, like just doing all these crazy things with design and marketing, and I just got hooked, man.
You know what's crazy, because I never got into skating, right? As a kid, I had how you had the jocks and the gangsters and the nerds and the skaters, right? And there's all these subdivisions of like the social cliques in high school, right? And I just didn't associate at that time with the skaters, so I never learned much about it. And as I got older, I started just opening my eyes, and like I said, I've never even attempted to buy a BOGO shirt, right? But you just mentioned simple logos, and I trip out because even to this day, as a grown man, regardless of where I'm from, I sit back and I trip out on the box logo, right? People are like, yo, I need a BOGO shirt, right? And I'm just like, the white with the red Supreme logo is the one.
That's iconic, man.
Okay? And the one thing I appreciate is a brand that's been able to make, if you take it from a cost perspective, if you want to look at it from the logistics of a white t-shirt with a red box, right, with their logo in white inside of it, so it's really like two screens, right, one color, right, and I'm just like, yo, people are clawing at each other, and of course there's this element of fad, right? It became, you got these young kids that are YouTubing collectors, and you're like, yo, I don't even know if you have a job, so clearly there's something really random going on here. But, I think anyone with critical thinking skills should be able to look at certain channels and certain people and be like, there's something mad suspect going on here. Yeah,
it's sort of it's very obvious sometimes when people are like in it for the wrong reason.
Sure,
absolutely. And I feel like you're right. It sort of did become that sort of brand. And has it changed since we've gotten into it? Absolutely.
Yeah,
but we've stuck around to it and it's been collecting, and it's just been super fun, and it's allowed me to get into like other stuff too.
No, but see, that's exactly what I'm saying. Is like, here we have an example of someone who was into it. Quote unquote, before it was cool. Right? Because, there have been people rocking with Supreme. If you're from the East, right? Maybe that made a little bit more sense because it's from New York, right? But I mean, okay, so did you think geography had anything to do with it?
With what?
With you getting into Supreme.
Dude, it's so funny, man. What's so funny is Roy's name on the EP3, like, forums was just Supreme. And he was into it before I was. And remember we went to IBOC in LA. Gosh, I think it might have been 2009. I don't remember. Either 2009 or the beginning of 2010. We went to IBOC. It was me, Roy, and Dave. And Roy was like, yo, let's go to the Supreme store. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And he took us. We bought a couple things.
And you guys went to LA?
Yeah, LA store.
Went to the Supreme store.
This was about 2020, either the end of 2009 or the beginning of 2010. Buy my first couple things, and it was just from there. Just started from there.
So it's Roy that got you into Supreme. So the geography of it is comedy, and to me, because you guys are from the East, but your first time being exposed to it and buying anything was in LA.
It wasn't a New York store, it was LA, yeah.
Fascinating.
So funny.
So, but Roy, this person that you either bought or sold a car part to for an EP, got you into it, but in LA.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, you know, it's funny, right? Because, you know, I got, you know, my behind the scenes vlog, it's coming out, right? Yeah. And I got Roy on there, right? And, you know, there's
you got lucky that Halcyon and Crispy were like, yo.
And he wouldn't do it? Yo, hey, there you guys heard it right now. Crispy and Halcyon couldn't get Roy, but I got Roy on camera talking to us about the event and, you know, your perspective right now of this trifecta, right? It's you, your brother, right? Mm-hmm. You go all the way to Nashville, Tennessee. You meet Dave, right? Dave's like already kind of an established, notable photographer in his own right.
Yep.
He comes up to you. I like your blue EP. Can I take this photo? You guys get along. He's a very mild-mannered, quiet, respectful dude.
Very honest, very respectful.
Super chill. He gives you a really nice vibe.
Yep.
And that's one reason why I mess with Dave, because when I first met him, even the presence online, there's no woofing, there's no barking, there's no 17 exclamation marks and 20 emojis.
So proper,
he's so chill and prim and proper, and
very humble. Like,
exactly, man.
Comes from like an amazing family.
Yeah.
Like, his wife is awesome. They have a cute dog. They have two two sons that are awesome. Like, he just like really great guy.
No, absolutely, right? And I'm talking all the way back then, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Even when I was seeing the photos. And you know what, dude? I went to an IA in Nashville in its heyday.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if I was there the year that you guys were there.
What year did you go?
Bro, I don't know, 07 or something?
Okay.
Like, I don't really remember. I don't know if it's getting old, if I need to take, like...
Oh, dude, those were years ago.
Yeah, I just kept... It all gets mushed together.
All those memories get mushed together. Yeah. Sadly, and there wasn't Instagram. There wasn't a lot of documenting from a personal perspective.
Yeah.
People were taking pictures of cars and stuff, but, like... Yeah, it's all mushed together.
Dude, you know what's dope about you guys had the blog, right? You know, we're talking about that. I remember like the forum days. Even with the blog, you had to host the photos.
Yeah.
So people whoever had a camera, but if anything, it was really just a point and shoot.
Yeah.
Someone spent like, you know, $149.99 and they bought a point and shoot, which, I mean, you know, it was autofocus.
Yeah.
And you're like, yo, you have a digital camera, remember? Yeah. And it was just like, yo, photo bucket or Flickr. You had to host it somewhere and then upload it.
And then those sites like died.
Yeah, man. Yo, do you know that there's still Tumblr?
Yeah.
You know there's still a world of people who are into Tumblr?
Don't quote me, but didn't Pornhub buy Tumblr?
Oh, I don't know.
I want to say that.
I just know that somebody referenced Tumblr like a few months ago, and I was like, Tumblr? Yeah. And they're like, it's still there. I haven't typed in Tumblr.com.
Because we had a CANIBEAT Tumblr page back in the day, and I'm pretty sure it's probably still alive. But I'm not sure. But Tumblr.
I found some photos on one of my old computers that I don't know how, but it says photo bucket. I don't know if I screenshot it or something because I can't get into. I don't remember my email or password to get into photo bucket, so they're gone.
But dude, can you imagine like Instagram and Snapchat and podcasts back then? Like, jeez,
it's crazy, right?
That would have been crazy. Imagine if we were all documenting and all that stuff like we are today, but back then. Yeah,
that's what I love about technology. Is you have this ability for us to sit here, right? And have a conversation that we can present and disseminate to the world, right? You can take a photo of something. You can, if you're so into it, you can geotag and you can like create this world of information that if used properly, someone can grow from. Yeah. And, you know, the internet, as much as I love it, and as someone old enough to remember what life was like without it, before it even existed, to now it being ingrained in human beings, it's kind of scary because you have the world's most powerful and efficient tool, and with smartphones, which are really just computers that happen to have a phone on them, it's not really a phone anymore. No one really calls each other like quite like that. It's all...
Isn't that crazy though?
It's wild.
Nobody calls anybody anymore.
Okay, but yo, I do. And people think that I'm a weirdo.
It's so meaningful, though.
To hear a person call you? Yeah, man.
Dude, I'll even fucking like when people FaceTime me.
Yeah, listen, I get that. It's just crazy to me because you have people who will stare into their phone and fill their eyes and their ears and their mind with nonsense, right? And I mean, look, entertainment is a valuable tool, right? If you're stressed out, something that entertains you, I get it.
Yeah.
But if you look at the way these YouTube channels are, if you look at the way people's personas, because I don't even know if they act like that in real life. These characters, these styles of presenting themselves. Everyone's over the top.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone acts like a cartoon character. Everyone's like mad over the top with arm gestures and voice and inflection. And it's just like, yo, what about just talking, man?
Yeah.
But people aren't, they're not attracted to it. If it's calm, if it's subtle, it's not entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the trip about a word inside of a red rectangle on a white t-shirt. It is as simple as it comes, and it is iconic. And that's one of the things I kind of have strived to do as I've been inspired by timeless car builds and brands and paintings and music, is that all of that stuff, it doesn't have to be based on for lack of a better term, the term that people will get now is being clickbait.
Yeah.
Right? You just, if it's based on depth and intelligence, and if it has meaning to it, it may not get the most views or the most likes, but it will last the longest.
Yeah, man. Like, dude, so it's funny that you say that with my podcast, like, I'll be the first to admit, like, I don't push it very hard. But I do know that if somebody wants to benefit off it, if they want to get inspired by it, like, they know where it is, they know how to listen.
Yeah.
And like, dude, I don't get like the craziest numbers with my podcast, but when I do look at how like long someone is listening to it, it's normally most of the whole way.
Yes.
And I get crazy numbers? No, but I do get those like random like messages from people who are like, dude, thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in school right now and I don't know what I want to do with my life, but I like needed that.
Yeah, man. You know what? That's a powerful thing, you know? So you guys, those of you listening, I'll tag Christian, I'll tag his podcast, because you had me as a guest like a year ago.
Awesome. Dude, thank you again for doing that.
Dude, you were out in LA. You know, shout out to Cozil, right? Mm-hmm. But I appreciate you and your brother. You reached out to me.
Yep.
You put the effort. Like, I used to say this a long time ago. If a person is gonna put the effort into inviting me to, you know, anything, their birthday, right?
Right.
If they're gonna put the effort into inviting me, I can put the effort into going.
Yeah.
Okay. But a podcast, like, I had already started listening and kind of seeing this like growth of podcasting, right? And I appreciated it for the value of it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking about everyone just smoke a bunch of weed and start talking about aliens for 6 hours. Like, that has its place too.
Yes.
And it's entertaining and dope or whatever, but that's not me. And that wasn't you. You were like, I want to do this thing. I want to name it the How It's Done podcast. No, so let's talk about that.
Yes.
Why did you name it, amongst all the things, How It's Done podcast?
So for those that don't know, I have a video and audio podcast called How It's Done podcast, and the concept behind that is I am interviewing people who are artists. In your case, you build cars, that's your artistry, but it goes more than that. I'm interviewing people who are doing something in a entrepreneurial mindset with their art, because you have people who like will build cars and then that's all they do, nothing else. But I wanted it to be more than that. I'm looking for people who are like taking what they're doing and they're doing something on their own, completely like on their own, and it's creative. So I've talked to like you, for example, a car builder. I've talked to like Frank, for example. He does bolts and he has his own store, his own brand, and he's doing something creative with that. I've talked to like videographers who like have their own company. So artists who are doing something creative with their talent and have like a good following and a good backing with that. And How It's Done is it is what it sounds like. It's how they
I rock with it, man.
It's how they started from the bottom and got to where they are now. And then I also focus on what their vision is for the future.
Yeah.
And it's funny, man, like I did my first like follow-up podcast with this guy named John Ludwig Jr.
Yeah.
He was at our show yesterday, and he does like a bunch of shit, man. He does like laser engraving, he builds cars, and he travels a lot.
Yeah.
And he produces music as well.
Yeah.
And remember we were talking on the podcast, this was like earlier days of my podcast. So I think he was like podcast number like 2 or 3 for me.
Okay.
Granted, I'm not that far in, but it's like
Sure.
I'm on like episode 12 or something. But
Sure.
it's been I you know, they expand across like a long period of time. And remember when we were talking, I was like, what do you see yourself doing like in the future? And he was like, I really want to get into vlogging. I really want to start a podcast, and I want to just like get into that. But he wasn't doing that at all. And we did a follow-up interview, which I'll be posting like soon enough. Last weekend, and he's fucking doing that shit, dude. He's vlogging now. He has his own podcast, like, and it's cool, man. It's cool to see and hear what people's visions are for the future with their art, with their craft, with their company. And so it's funny, man, because I have a graphic design background. It's what I went to school for. It's what I do for a living. But at some point in time in my life, like I told myself, like, I want to go back to school. And I want to get my master's, and I want to be a professor. I want to teach people. I love teaching people.
Yeah.
When I was in school, I helped one of my professors who had like a workshop where he would like high school students would come in to our college, and they would like get taught design. And I used to always do the like posters for it, and I used to like be his TA, his teacher's assistant.
Okay.
And I like that. I like teaching people. One of my old bosses, like one of my old creative directors, when I first graduated from school, one of the first companies I worked for, he was like the dean of like graphic design for like our local college, from where I grew up, and he would always invite me out to come and like mentor all these like kids who were about to graduate, and I would critique their portfolios, and I would tell them like, hey, like, this is what you should do, this is how you write yourself. So I just like love teaching people, but I'm so involved in this whole car world and doing shows and like traveling and collecting art and all that stuff that I don't want to say that, well, I don't want to say that I'm not gonna ever go back to school, because it'd be cool too, but like that whole like going back to school and like being a professor and stuff like that may be for me later on, but right now I think like I thought to myself, like, God, I love teaching people, but like, how do I do that but still stay within my like lane and stay within that world? And
How It's Done podcast.
That's how I'm
Yo,
teaching
I
people.
dig that, man. I mean, the name, the premise behind it, you know, and like I said, you know, when you reached out, I was like, yo, if it was like, if the thing about me is, man, is if I didn't rock with it, if I thought it was based on some, you know, I'm just trying to get attention premise or something, I would have politely declined.
Yeah.
Right? But I saw that wasn't what it was.
Dude, and it's crazy, man. Like, I've had the opportunity to like interview a bunch of people like on the whim, like, hey, I'm here, let's do this. And it's not how I do it, man. I literally will like, take like, not shitting you, like a month to just research somebody from the start to the finish. And I've had people be like, whoa, how did you know that? And I'm like, that's my job, man. I'm
So did you do that with me?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, because look, I was very much observant of the questions.
I was pulling up your like old Honda tuning features, your old like all these, like your Instagram, your Facebook. Like I'll if somebody has a LinkedIn, I'll pull that up. Like, and just research that.
See, I respect that, man, because I did catch the questions you were asking, and those aren't off the cuff. I mean, you were, you know, you had a list,
dude. And then, you know what's really funny, man? It's like a lot of people, and I think, I don't know if you were the same way, but a lot of people that I've sat down with, they're like, I want to do a podcast now. This was fun, and I would be like, here are the questions that I asked you and the format that I have them in. Like, learn from this. Yeah, do this, because that goes a long way.
No, so right there you're touching on something that I always drive home, right? Because we live in a day and age where it's all about passion. That's like the word. Yeah. And as powerful and important of a concept and a premise as that is, having passion, it being passionate, right? It's also becoming generic and cliche. Yes. Because everyone's about that. Yeah. And the one thing I keep driving home to listeners, to anyone that I have the opportunity to affect in a positive fashion, is how about working hard? Yeah. Right? You're talking about research. You can have all the passion in the world, but what about having the focus to create what you're passionate about? You can be as passionate as you want.
Yeah.
If you don't work hard, what is that going to do for you?
Exactly.
Right? So you're talking about month of research, hundreds of questions.
Oh, dude, we did the same thing for the show, man. We didn't just dive right into it. Same thing with my podcast, man. I took literally 12 months to figure out what the best equipment was.
Sure.
What the best way to do things, how people were doing it. And because, like, I tell people this all the time, man. You have one life to live. Don't cut yourself short with anything. Don't put, like, bake wheels on your car. Don't, like, go to this guy to paint your car because he's cheaper.
Yeah. All you have to do is save.
Yep.
Save. Just a little bit longer, or hell, a lot longer.
It's your name, man.
Yes.
It's you, dude. Don't sell yourself short. It's like going out and buying an expensive suit and putting like Payless shoes on. Like you don't do that.
You don't do that.
Dude, and you got a lot of people who just like don't get that.
No, you know what, Christian? It's dope, man. How it's done podcast, educating people. You want to be an instructor, a professor. You know, it's true, man. Giving people information, and of course they can do with it what they will. You can only, give it to them. But that's the same kind of thing, That's why mine is the Think Bigger podcast. We're talking about so much more than cars, right?
We haven't even really talked about cars.
It's not even really, it's not about that.
I love that. It's really not.
Cars are a hobby, a passion, even a lifestyle.
Yeah.
But it's part of life. It isn't our whole lives. It's part of our lives, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing that I rock with the most is the premise is very conceptually similar. Community conversations, which is what you're on right now. It's a conversation with a member of the community. And we're learning not just about you, we're learning from you. There are people listening right now, 1, 2, 5, 50 things that you just said are hitting them, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, whether it manifests into, I want to do a podcast now, right? Like people who've been on yours.
Right.
Or whether it's just like, now I don't know, I just always see all these people wearing Supreme. Now I want to go look into the history of the brand, right? Or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, those are just two references. It could be anything, you know? But same kind of thing, man. It doesn't matter if you're getting tens of thousands of listens or subscribers. It's the effect. So you're talking about the people who message you. Thank you for doing that. Same kind of thing, man. There's people who message deployed military, wives, mechanics.
I needed
They're like, I don't know where you came from or why I didn't do this earlier, but I listened to episode whatever, and they're like, I feel different. Like it lights a fire somewhere in their soul or their mind,
Dude, and for anybody listening, like I always tell people this, man, like everybody is good at something, but like take it to the next level. Like if you're shooting photos, make a book and sell that shit. If you're doing art, go to look for a store and say, hey, like, can I display my art here and have like an art show?
Yeah.
Collaborate with the graphic designer friend to do like the posters and have a photographer go out there. Make a legacy for yourself.
Yeah, stop being mediocre.
Yes, you have one life to live.
Yeah, man.
Make a fucking mark in this world, and then when you're gone, have something that somebody will remember you by.
See, that's the difference between making a memory and making a legacy, right? People can remember the car. People can remember your name.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you have a legacy.
Correct.
Right? A legacy is something that is based on actual accomplishment.
Correct.
All the followers, the likes, the subscribers, that's not a legacy. That is a peak, and it'll be gone the next day.
And that's what our goal was with the show, man. Whether we did 1, whether we did 10, whether we did 15, 20, whatever, we just wanted something that would be a legacy, something that people will remember for forever.
No, and you guys established that, man.
Yeah.
I host now various events all across the world. We're talking about traveling, experiencing cultures, and sometimes I have to separate myself. Not sometimes, most of the time, I have to separate myself. And I'll just go. Like first time I came to New York, man, I was just like, okay, so obviously there's touristy stuff, right? I want to go to, I don't know, people say you have to go have a slice of New York pizza, go to Little Italy, go to the financial district, the Bull, the Statue of Liberty. But in the midst of all that, unfortunately you have the memorial, right? So you have to go to Ground Zero, right? And then, the High Line, and then Brooklyn, Dumbo, Brooklyn, or the Bridge, right? And all these cool spots, right? And I was like, okay, cool. But half the time, people don't necessarily want to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I want to. So I just go.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, somebody give me the layman's breakdown of this train.
Yeah.
Because as much as you hear all these cool stories, you see people performing on the trains, and if they're like acrobatic or singing, you hear like some of these like people who've gone viral and have gotten a career from singing in the subway. And I was like, am I going to experience that, or am I going to experience these crazy videos of like crackhead dudes wilding out in the train? And I was like, somebody tell me, am I not supposed to go on the train to this borough? And they were like, you're you're uptown, just take the A train straight down. And if you need to, you have to take the C in Central Park. And I'm like, okay, cool, right? I was like, one of my favorite shows is Law and Order SVU. And I was like,
that show is cool.
That's the cool. Okay. And I was like, wait a minute. 20% of every SVU episode in their 20-something episodes is someone getting killed in Central Park. And I was like, should I not be in Central Park? And they were like, nah, son, like, don't be there at 3 a.m.
Bro,
but
dude, let's just talk about Central Park though. That place is wild. I love that place.
It's so dope. I've only been to about half of it.
Yeah.
But the first time I went, Bethesda Fountain, the steps, and then, there was some old dude playing the guitar, like random.
Dude, I don't know if this is like faith or just ironic, but like, I love parks, man. That's something so whenever I travel, I obviously do the whole art thing.
Yes.
And I eat well. I love food.
Yes.
But like, I always just find myself at parks.
No,
man.
they're dope,
it's
man.
It's good to clear your mind.
It is.
You just look around and just get
appreciate
inspired.
the people. Yeah, no, dude, for real, honestly, bro. That's one reason why I think you and I have always gotten along, even from a distance to now, much more in person over the last, few years, is because, you can sense someone's intentions, you can sense someone's energy, right? And you can tell when someone's like, sometimes someone doesn't have to do a douchebaggy thing for you to already know they're a douchebag.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, right?
I know what you mean, man.
And so
you can see right through it.
You can.
Most of the time. Yeah.
If you have an open mind and you're able to have your antenna paying attention. But that's the other thing, like without getting all into that, like if you dumb yourself down, you're going to lose your skill set in a variety of ways, even these esoteric type ways that people don't really necessarily get.
Yeah.
But whether it be a restaurant, whether it be a museum, a park, if you don't know how to separate yourself from whatever people or things that you're used to being in your like zone, your clique, your comfort zone, your group, whatever word you give it, you're going to miss out on a lot, man.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes you got to just be like, does anyone want to do this? Cool. All right, I'll see you guys in like half the day or tomorrow.
Man, I try to
you have to.
I try to busy myself when I have the time with things that inspire me, man, or just switch it up or just do something that like it will better you, man, as a person, even if it's something as little as going to check out a park, a museum, or just walking around and just sort of just like opening up your mind, man. This the world is so big.
It's totally true, man. Like seeing, like I said, traveling, whether you decide to travel sonically, listen to new styles of music. You if you're used to eating one type of food, right? And you're like, no, let me try something else. Because when you get into food, if you really get into food, there's an entire history and culture behind how that particular realm of the world created this food, right? Mm-hmm. And then if you get into art, right? Where did that artist come from? Why did they do this, right? That's history. Now we're talking about a lot of history. History, the way they presented to us in high school, was boring as fuck.
It was very boring.
Right?
And I didn't grasp it very well at all.
No one really pays attention, but if you really now, as an adult, look back, history is fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Right? How we got to where we are. Like, for example, right? I work on an event series out in the United Kingdom, right? MIMS, right?
Yes.
And the guy who started MIMS has become, it's very similar to how we're able to talk to each other, is because I understand who he is.
Yeah.
He understands who I am, and we agree with each other. We both believe we're good people. And so now it's very much more a friendship than just a business interaction. But my point is, United Kingdom, you're in England, right? So peep, I had always kind of thought history was cool, even in high school, but it's so bland in high school. But I read on my own.
Because of the way they
present it, for sure. But like it occurred to me quite a long time ago, but like was reignited in me the first time I flew into the United Kingdom. So you fly in Gatwick or Heathrow, right, in London.
Yeah.
But I'm in England, right? and when I was on the East Coast, because I traveled to the East a pretty decent amount now, I remember I was like, yo, I've always wanted to go to Boston, right? And people always reference it as the New England area. And it occurred to me a long time ago, but you sort of, you're in the middle of thinking about all these things. And it got reignited a few years ago when I went to England. And I was like, New England. And I'm in England. The state of New York. And I was and there's even York, PA, right?
Yeah.
And I'm out in England, and I go visit an area called York, right? And it was like, oh yeah. Remember, if you look at the history of America, those are people who left that area, Great Britain, right? And came over here to start a new world. Remember this was called the New World?
So many people don't know that.
New York, New Jersey. Jersey's a place over there. You people think Jersey, Camden, and it's Hood and Newark, and it's like industrial. Nah, man, Jersey's over there. York is over there. Yeah. England's over there. So I'm just using these really easy examples. New York, New Jersey, New England. I was in the original. And I'm sitting there like, hey, can we go to like Scotland and Wales? And can we drive to Stonehenge? And my friends, like, we talked about when you're from a place where everyone's like, did you do that? You're like, I live here. I don't ever do that shit. My friend and his fiance, now wife, who started Mims, they're like, Stonehenge? Man, I haven't been there since I was 9, right? And they live there. Stonehenge is like this iconic thing in history, and it's still to this day, they can't even explain how it's there. Yeah. And I was like, yo, let's go. And they were like, yeah, man, absolutely. So we went to Stonehenge. We're walking around, and they're just like, why the fuck haven't I come to this? And I live 30 minutes away. Because, for those of you who are imagining Stonehenge, these crazy big stones, like, there's a highway right next to it. Like, you're just driving.
They never show that.
Yeah, you're in Stonehenge, and you're, like, looking around and reading these plaques, and, like, this is 1,000 years old. And then you look over, and there's some dude just driving his car, like, right kind of next to it, But that's my point, man. If they had said, nah, we don't want to do that, then I would have been like, okay, now let me look into getting an international driver's license and just go, right? Because you got to, but look, you don't have to be across the ocean, right? Even if you're just there, right? Just in your own state, there's a million things, a million places that you can go and it just decompress, a park, a museum, or just people watch. Yeah.
Dude, I'm big in the people watching.
It's because people are fascinating, man. But you know what, dude? Honestly, man, the inspirations of how art and music and graphic design. So graphic design is you open Illustrator, dude, and it's blank. And now you get to create anything that you can imagine, right? Or if you start with an image, whether it be Photoshop or you transfer it into Illustrator, and you build off of this and create a whole new image or a whole new world from a starting point, right? And I think it's incredible, right? I think it's incredible that you can do that. So you've taken all these things, right? You have your brother, which we're gonna touch on right now, right? Yeah. Because we've talked about Roy, quiet dude that no one really knows. Dave, also a quiet guy, but when we're doing the awards, Dave's holding the mic and you're standing next to him, right? So this quiet guy, Dave, comes out of his bubble, right, once a year to stand in front of people because he doesn't want to do it normally, right? He's so chill. He's like, ah. But for First Class Fitment, like he even said when we were doing the awards, he was just like, somehow every year for 10 years I'm up here and he's all quiet, and it's chill, right?
Yeah.
But Roy, Dave, right? Okay, but how is it growing up as a twin?
Yeah.
Right? How is your brother, like, he's the one who got you in the Hondas.
Correct.
But how about other things beyond that? Like, how is that, how did coming up together help form you as an individual?
Oh man, such a deep question. Dude, growing up as a twin was really, really cool because you always had someone there, like a best friend always there. And we would always just sort of help each other out with things.
Yeah.
Or give each other advice or be like, hey, like, are you into this or that? And we're into Hondas, but we're also into like different types of art, different types of music. So we're always constantly showing each other stuff and like like we're really big into just like making each other laugh and just showing each other like, oh, did you see that funny video?
Yeah.
So we're constantly just like just showing each other stuff. It's just like a wealth of like knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's somebody who looks and talks and sounds like you,
just like you.
and it's cool, man. Like we like just always just having somebody there to just be like, how was your day, or how are you, man, or
okay,
whatever.
so let's talk about that. You know, you hear about these, like, there's movies and books and stuff written about like this magic between twins, right, where you can tell if something's wrong and they're like not even around you.
True,
is that true?
Yeah.
Right? So like something's going on, you're like, yo, where's my brother? Has that happened?
Yeah, or it's funny, or we'll like both be humming like the same song randomly or something, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's dope. So
funny.
those types of what people would call kind of like weird kind of tones or vibes, that's true.
It's true. Yeah. It's weird.
Fascinating.
We have the same mannerisms, we sound the same in person, like we think a lot alike, or will be like the most random shit will be on our minds
at the same
time, but we're like super different.
Sure.
It's interesting.
So how about the fighting?
We do bicker and argue a lot about stupid shit. Like just it's funny.
Yeah.
But we it's not all rainbows and sunshine.
Of course,
obviously. But yeah, we get along pretty well, and he comes along and stuff. All our trips and stuff.
See, talking about quiet dudes.
Yeah.
Roy's quiet, Dave's quiet, but everyone knows Dave, you, and a lot of people happen to know Roy. Yeah. But I think a ton of people, your brother's the most quiet out of all of them.
It's funny that you say that. He's not. He's so
That's
like the life of the party.
trippy.
He's funny. Like
so around you and around the people he's most around. Is that how where he opens
but
up?
like in public, he's like, sort of just keeps to himself.
Yeah, he's real chill.
Real chill. Yeah. But with us, it's like, dude, you're talking a lot. Yeah. He's fun. He's a funny dude.
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had very minimal conversation with him. But to me, that's why in this outward angle, he's the quiet, like the most quiet one, and you're like, nah, dog. Yeah. Like he's
dude, it's
wild.
so funny. Like he literally got me into cars and Hondas.
Yeah.
Remember back in the day, he'd always be like really into just like just anything like Hondas.
Were you into cars at all, or not even? So it wasn't a different type of car, not even cars. He was the one looking stuff up and telling you about it that started to spur.
Yeah,
you
he
to
would
get
always
into it.
show me things about like. He would always show me stuff like Hassback Crew back in the day, and like Honda Tuning Magazine.
Yep.
He was just always showing me like dope stuff.
Yeah,
like
and it started to just...
And it just sort of like just rubbed off on me.
Right,
really.
right.
I remember when my first ever car was like a BMW like 325i that I bought after working like a couple summers when I was in college, and like all his friends were like, yo, like get a Honda. Like, or mod this BMW or something.
And it hadn't occurred to you. You were just driving a 3 Series and you liked it the way it was.
And then I remember when I sold that, I ended up getting my EP3 and like no intentions of like doing anything to it. I got the car because I like to use it in like Forza or something.
Yeah.
There was no real reason behind it. And when they were like, yo, you should mod this up, I was like, I don't know. And like, it just kind of happened.
Yeah. And
like, I just had like a really good support from like his friends and my friends, eventually. Yeah. And I was just like pretty much immersed in that like world, and it was super like not intentional at all. Yeah. But dude, the EP, you and Roy's EP, right? Yeah. So the Honda bug, if you will, hasn't gone anywhere because now your car is an Accord, a TSX, right? Correct. But you have it all Mugenned out, right? Accord. Yeah. It's an Accord, right? Okay. And you're rocking this vehicle that people who don't know any better are going to see it as like a little bit of a luxury sedan. And it's got a classy feel to it, right? But once again, the fitment angle has come into it, right? So you have the sizing that you've been able to get on there, your wheel to tire fitment to fender ratio, and all this like science that goes into it. Why a TSX? Okay, so when I had my my EP3, like I did everything I wanted to do with that car. I got the Honda tuning feature. The pictures were everywhere, and it came to that point where I was like, what, sort of just like FCF, man. Super ironic. I was like, what do I want to do with this? Like, do I keep going? Do I end things out on top? what do I want to do with this? And I ended it out on top with that car.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did everything I wanted to do, traveled the country with it, met a lot of people, and it was just kind of time to move on from that thing. And when it came time to me getting my next car, I knew it had to be a Honda / Acura, obviously. Yeah. And I knew that it had to be a little bit more grown up, but not completely grown up. You know, I wasn't going to go out and get like an RDX or an MDX.
Okay.
But I wanted to keep it sporty. And I was kind of like, no shade to anybody into the whole camber stance and whatever. That just like wasn't for me anymore. Yeah. And I just wanted a platform to do sort of that like meaty, like race car kind of look thing, but also keep it like classy.
Sure.
It's a luxury sports sedan, but it's not like a big body. Or
sure.
It's not anything like that. It's just a really nice, simple, sporty sedan. And I knew that I had to get a stick shift car, man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do an automatic car at all. And I knew that the TSX was just perfect. And when I decided on that, I had to get a red one. I had to get a special edition one. And it took a while. To find. Those cars aren't something you just walk into a dealership and buy. Like
the red on black.
They didn't make a lot of them. And when I did find the car, like, it was perfect, dude. I went to the dealership with one of my buddies, Dan Horst, who like really helped me out with my EP3 build. He did the whole like the whole engine side of things with it. And we went to go look for this car, and we were at the dealership, and we went to this one dealership that had one for sale, and we were convinced that they were just had it there just to kind of bait people in. Like, they probably never had the car because the price was too good to be true, and they had they didn't have actual real photos of it. So when we went to go look at the car, they're like, "Oh, it's sold, but we have other cars." I'm like, "Nope, bye, see ya." And then we were looking for this TSX for a while. And it's funny, we went to the dealership and they had a black one. Yeah. And it was everything I wanted minus the color, minus the package. Like, it wasn't a special edition. And I was like, I'm not going to settle for this. And the guy was like, "Yo, we just got a red special edition in as a trade-in. If somebody had it, it was one owner, low mileage, but it's not ready. We have to do the inspection. We have to clean it. But do you want to at least take it for a test drive?" And I was like, "Sure." Took it out. I was like, "I want this car. It's mine. Let's do this." And the guy was like, "Cool, but it's not ready yet. You're gonna have to come back or whatever." And I was like, "Okay, but can we at least finalize this now? Because I want this car." Like, I was not gonna let this slip away, dude. Sure. It was a perfect, flawless car, dude. Yeah. One owner, 29,000 miles. The guy took care of it, all sort of maintenance, everything. There was one little tiny door ding on it, which I eventually got fixed, and it was perfect. Yeah. I was like, I knew I had to do this. And it's funny, when I got the car, I had no intention of modifying it. I told myself, I did all this shit with the EP3, where I want to focus on us doing this show right now because it's getting really big. We're FCF is becoming something really special. I just want a car that's cool to just be able to drive, and just sort of if I mod it, but I'm not going to go crazy with it. Yeah. And obviously that didn't happen. I ended up getting a sponsorship through the dudes at shout out to fucking Airlift, man. They sponsored the car. And at the time when I was like, okay, I have this stock car that I'm about to put air on, I gotta go all out. And I did. And I did. I did everything that I want to do with it. And now I'm at the same point with this car. I'm like, what's next? And I need to decide, same things. I'm in the same boat that I was with the EP3. I just need to decide, do I want to keep going with this, or do I want to switch it up?
See, the thing about it is the description of how you got the one that you wanted as the base is no different than how you create a vision for what you have in your head when you modify a car. Correct. There's you do not settle. You fight and claw and search and wait and just get the one that you want. It's the same thing that I always talk about when building a car. Of course, the knockoffs are cheaper. Of course, there are styles and ways to achieve a look or a similar look that are cheaper or faster. But in the end, it doesn't last. Yeah. Both as a legacy or just quality. And you can't be mad about it, right? You wanted a certain type.
Yeah.
And then once you said, all right, well, I wasn't going to modify it by I am, now you didn't say, all right, let me just slam it. You were like, I want a certain look. I want the best arrow that I can choose. I want the quality of something like Mugen, right? And the wheels, quality, authentic wheels, tones, colors, fitment.
The best paint job that I could get.
That you could get.
The best everything.
None of this, like, let me just get it done. Like,
dude,
no.
And like, for anybody listening out there, like, I preach this all the time, and I know I said this earlier, but like, you have like one life to live. Make, like, you know, this car that you're building, or this piece of painting that you're doing, or whatever. It's a representation of use, and the worst phrase that you can use in life with something that you're passionate about, a hobby, is that phrase that everybody says, for now. I'm getting these wheels for now. I'm gonna for now. That is the worst thing that you can do, man. Save up, do what you have to do. Don't sell yourself short.
You look, man. I try to tell people the same thing while being compassionate, that the younger you are, the more integrated social media is into your brain. Mm-hmm. And that is nonstop, hundreds of photos or videos a day of people getting the newest mod. If you follow YouTubers, they're fixing 5 cars at a time. That is not the normal reality. That is a hyper real, surreal.
People get confused. Like, it's confusing. A lot of people think that, like, what they see is like reality, and it's not.
And I try to tell them, I know what you're doing is you're trying to keep up. But if your financial situation is not that dude's, you can't compare yourself. But you know that you want something authentic, but because you can't, quote unquote, keep up to this internet-based pace that you are being subjected to these images, you end up saying, I'm going to do this for now.
Yep.
And all the time and money you spent to get to that for now point, you could have just waited and put into the ultimate that you had.
Correct.
But the for now, you're always going to be chasing the ultimate because you're always doing the for now.
Yes.
Right? And I'm completely with you on that. And I try to be compassionate because it's harder for, if a 15 or 16-year-old just got their car, how hard is it to wait a year at making whatever they're making to buy a set of authentic wheels? And that's the justification you hear from people. Oh, those are too expensive. No, that means you're impatient.
Yeah.
Too expensive means you're impatient.
Correct.
Because you can work and you can save longer. If you can work and save to buy the shitty things or the cheaper things,
hold it out a little longer.
Man up and hold out. Yeah. Forget what everyone's around you. You got nothing to post on your Instagram. Who gives a fuck? Yeah. But when you finally get there, you're going to be like, man, I worked hard for that and I love it.
Yeah, man, that's just something that we've just been preaching since day one, man. And I think that carries over into the show. It's like quality over quantity, man. Like, the airport is not the biggest venue by any means, but dude, we freaking work with it the best we can, man. Yeah. Quality everywhere. And like I just like to take that like mentality with life, man. Like, it's all about like, quality, man. Yeah. Don't sell yourself short. Do what you gotta do, but like, you have one life.
See, you know what, man? I think that's a perfect way to taper off. You and I, we can converse about this stuff for days, right? But it's perfect. It's very simple. It's to the point, and it's powerful, right? Yeah. Everything from First Class, Hondas, your twin, Dave, Roy, inspirations, brands, art. I love it, man. And it's very... I feel blessed that we're able to present this conversation to the community, right? Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's going to be dope, man. It's just one of those things where some people do some of that. Some people do maybe even most of that. But there's a lot of that people don't know, And that it's all about education. Like I said, we're not just learning about you, we're learning from you, So First Class, 10-year anniversary, like you said, on top, right? You ended on top.
Absolutely.
You were able to carve out a name for yourself individually, your car, your friends, your event, right? So I appreciate you being here, right?
Thank you for having me.
Everyone who, if you guys are listening, Google, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, there isn't a way for you to communicate. So I post on my personal Instagram. There's a color-coded thumbnail for this episode. You guys, the comments there, the comment section is just simply there to now be a forum upon which you can state your what you were inspired by, what you agree with, what you disagree with. So please interact. If you're listening on YouTube, you can comment. But if on the other platforms, there's no way to interact. But I will put in the YouTube caption, Instagram, I will tag Christian, First Class, all the gentlemen that were mentioned, his brother, Dave, Roy, and so you can go see what they're all about too, right? So please, you guys, take the time to comment, interact, follow Christian, and we can grow together, right? And continue. It doesn't have to be a one-time thing. It's about, expanding your horizons, right? Learning from each other and growing as a community. That's what the Think Bigger Project, the Think Bigger Podcast is all about. So Christian, I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely, you guys.
Let's get together again and do a part 2 on my podcast.
I'm down, dude. I'm so down,
dude, next
man.
time I'm in Cali, we'll do it.
Absolutely.
I'm planning a trip. Let's do it.
Okay, there it is, you guys. So that's going to come out sooner than later. Thank you for listening. God bless you guys.